Welcome back. It's Lach and Raph. And as always, we are on a mission to dramatically improve the health and fitness of Australia's business executives and leaders, which is why today we're going to be talking about exercise technique.
Yes, this is something that we are incredibly passionate about because, we have been in the gym industry for over a decade, owning gyms over a decade. Let me tell you, we have seen some good technique and form, and we have seen some bad.
Yeah.
It's really the whole reason we started the gyms, is you look around in a regular gym, and once you start to learn about fitness, it's a bit of a horror show, right? It's just bad kind of technique and that type of thing all over the shop, right? Similar, I think, if you really get into finance, you start looking around, you're like, wow, most people have like pretty poor financial literacy and habits, right? With their you're like, wow, like they almost invest nothing. It's like, that's not good. You meant to invest like 30%, whatever your income. And it's like that in fitness once you get into it. And if you're newer to fitness, you just may not realize that. You may look around the gym and be like, man, I think everyone's doing a pretty good job here, but really a lot of the time not. So we're going to dive into that today. We've got two really big rocks of just keeping technique really simple, but I'll try and define it. So one way we would define technique in the gym is trying to get a technique on an exercise that will hurt your joints the least and hit the target muscle the hardest.
Yes.
Now, everyone's going to look different. That's why you can't say like, this is how you squat, and if you don't look like this, it's wrong technique. Because you and me do a squat session together, we look, to a layman, maybe quite similar, but to someone that knows about squatting, we look really different, right?
Yeah.
The technique might have different stance. You're obviously, a foot taller than me, so the whole thing looks really different. But we're both trying to do it in a way where we're not getting hip and knee pain, and we might be really hitting our quads or our thigh muscles as hard as possible, right? And what that's going to allow you to do is be consistent and repeatable without getting an injury, right? And eventually that's going to lead to progress. So that's what we're trying to do. Hurt the joints the least, hit the target muscle as hard as possible.
Yeah, because nothing interrupts progress more than an injury. Yeah.
And I think it's easy to say, it's like you forget that when you don't have an injury. Yeah. But the amount of clients that you would know better talking to new clients, so many clients is like, yeah, I was going really well, and then back injury.
Yeah.
Had a month off, lost momentum.
Yeah, or injury from something external to the gym, and now I'm so scared to go into the gym because I don't want to re-injure it. Right?
Probably even more common than that, right?
Yeah, there's like the trauma of, my back has this thing and I don't want it to happen again, and so I'm worried about lifting weights, so I don't do it.
Yeah, and good technique lifting can often heal a lot of injuries that you come in the gym with as well.
It probably is the only thing that can heal.
Yeah, when you go to the physio, they typically just give you light exercises to do with good technique.
Yes.
Right? So that's how important this is. So first big rock of good technique is full range of motion. So what that means in like just layman is like taking the exercise all the way from like the top to the bottom. And why this is better is if you do the full range of motion of an exercise. So like instead of doing a squat where you just come down by a little bit, often new people, it's like the first thing they say is like, oh my God, the trainer goes so low on their squats. Yeah, it's like they're just doing the full range of the squat, right? They're getting the whole movement they can. And what that does is it builds more muscle with lighter weights. So you now take the weight off the bar, which makes it safer, and there's way less stress on your joints. And all of a sudden, you start building more muscle, which is like, that's the combination, right? Now it's going to be less likely to injury, and you're going to get more muscle over long term. So gradually improving your range of motion on exercises, rather than like forcing heavy weights through a really small range of motion, is the key.
Yeah.
And I just find that we'll get into ways to improve it, but it's so hard to do without some help.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing an exercise, you feel like it's a big range of motion.
Yeah.
And then someone will look at you and wonder, like, when are you going to start doing the whole lift?
Yeah.
Because you're going a quarter of the way you should be.
Yeah. Well, so one of the principles that's working there that makes the muscle grow bigger through a fuller range of motion is when muscles hit the stretch point, the absolute stretch point, that's when we see one of the biggest increases in muscle growth. So in order to make a muscle grow, like some of the things you just mentioned, but what's actually working is the stretch on the muscle. So that sends a signal to the body, not getting too complicated into the different types of cells within the muscle, sends a signal to the body to grow more muscle. So yeah, if your muscle is not really going to a point where it feels like it's kind of stretching, imagine doing a pull-up, you're at the bottom and you only go halfway down. All your back muscles are not really stretched, they're tense. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, you don't want to be relaxed, but your muscles are more stretched out at that end range. And then when you come up, they're contracting through a larger range of motion. That's what causes the growth, amongst other things.
Yeah, so when you're getting bigger muscles, and then a side benefit is that you're also just maintaining or improving your flexibility. right? So like, for most of the clients we have here, they don't really have a stretching routine, but they get enormous flexibility gains by training with us.
Yeah.
Because they just start doing like basically a stretch every time they walk in the gym. And it's a progressive stretch. So each week they're stretching a little bit further. And like within 6 months, they can't believe it. They've gone from touching their knees, touching their toes, right? Without ever doing a yoga class or a stretch, right? So that is another side benefit. So big rock number one of good form, good technique is full range of motion. Second one, and I put this as the other one because it's just the most common I see, is lifting speed. If you have a really technical trainer, they call it tempo. Basically what this is just the weight down of a lift where you change from going down to going up. And then obviously the way up on the lift is like what speed is the weight moving at. So to start with the most important, it's the way down, right? If you're doing like a bench press as the weight lowers or a squat as you're going down, it's like, this is a part where you're actually stronger. So if you can lift the weight up, you should definitely be able to lift it on the way down. So what you want to do there is like, just control it. You just want to be controlling it. So you like, even a beginner knows if a weight's under control or not. If you're like very quickly letting the weight go down, you're essentially just using gravity. So rather than you getting all the benefits of gaining muscle, tearing up the muscle fibers and coming back stronger the next week, instead, you're just using gravity. Right? So you've like given away all the reason of coming in the gym to increase your injury risk and utilize gravity. There's like literally one of the silliest things you can do in a gym. Why do people do it? I mean, it's human nature, right? You start to get a little bit lazy when you're lifting. It is obviously easier to utilize gravity, helps you like use more weight than last week because you're not getting as tired on the way down, helps you get a few extra reps. But all those things, your body keeps score properly, right? That your body doesn't care that you got 10 reps instead of 6 reps and you rush the way down. You're not going to progress like you could.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. I mean, yeah, getting that speed or that tempo right can be the difference between 2.5, 3 kilos, 5 kilos of muscle on a beginner in a year and not.
Oh yeah. Huge difference, right? And injuries.
Yes.
Difference in injuries. The next part of a tempo or a speed is changing from the way down to the way up. So you'll see like an inexperienced beginner, they rush it, right? They rush it. Or maybe they like use their chest as the trampoline on the bench press, or on the deadlift, when the bars hit the ground, they like bounce the weight off the ground, or on a machine, like they, hear like bang, bang, because they're like the weight like smashing, the weight stack smashing off the bottom. Same thing there. I mean, you're just utilizing a rebound effect of the equipment rather than controlling it. And that is one of the, actually, I'd say the quickest ways to get an injury in the gym is to bypass that. You're going to lose all the flexibility benefits and strength benefits you mentioned about training in the stretch position. So do not use momentum to go from going down to going up really quickly. That is a shortcutting your benefits. And then the way up, I would say, is the most simple part. And probably the part that most people do right is you just want to control it, right? You want to go fast, but you can also get a lot of strength and muscle gain benefits by going slow on the way up. So that's the one that like I think most people are doing good.
Yeah.
You can usually tell a beginner in the gym with bad form, bad technique, because this may be you if you're in your first year or two in the gym, is you tend to go down on the lift really, really fast and you go up really, really slow.
Yes.
And if you ever look at someone
swap it.
amazing at a lift, you see they go down so slow and under control and they go up quickly.
Yeah.
Right. And that is where you want to be getting your your speedy lift to. And typically what I'll find is some clients get it right on some lifts and they get it totally wrong on other lifts. And that's why you need coaching.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I would say, if I'm looking just broadly across the gym using my peripherals, it's that speed that I look for straight away. And if, beginners, always the opposite way around. Always fast on the way down, slow on the way up.
It's like a human nature thing, right? It's like, you typically, if you don't really think about this, you're probably doing it the wrong way, right? Because that's just the easiest way.
It's harder. Yeah. That's why, going down slow and controlling the weight is way harder. And that's why people avoid it, because they're like, well, I get really tired and I can do less reps and less weight if I go down slowly. It's like, all right, that's because you're not ready for the heavy weights yet. That's what it is.
That's what it is. So last point I'll make, which is this can go too far. And I have done this with some executives as well, where I think they're so worried about injury because they're maybe a little bit older, past 40, that they're kind of obsessed with technique. And I think this is where it starts to hold you back is, maybe your trainer's like, man, you're looking pretty good. And it's like, no, like it's not as good as like, I know the technique's not right. And then you take the weight back down again. But truth be told, look, if you're just like always never really going heavier because you're always trying to perfect the rep, no one ever is still bench pressing 25 kilos and is really muscular and strong. Eventually, you do have to increase the weight. So this is a bit of an 80-20 where you need to get like good, safe technique. And then I think start, focusing on the effort and actually lifting heavier over time. Yeah. That's why it's great to just like have someone that lets you know, like you're looking good. and you can progress. Because if you also get so obsessed with this, you'll never progress. So my 3 ways to improve. The best way is immediate feedback from someone that knows what they're talking about as you do the lift. Like literally, you do a rep, adjustment, another rep, adjustment. You got it. Now hold that. That is how you get better. Quick feedback loop. Next best, a long way down, would be like a film review, which obviously we do with clients when they're on holidays. It's not as good because like you're doing it and then you get the feedback and then the next time you got to fix it. You've already done all these bad reps in between. Still good. And then I think, this also can work, take the most motivation, but it would be like watching videos. Look up a video of a good lift. The problem with that is that the video might be of someone who's like, a foot shorter than you and has totally different leg lengths and it looks really different. So it's really not ideal, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think someone was telling me the other day, they have a golf coach for their swing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's the difference between a good golf coach and a bad golf coach? They're like, yeah, I've gone through so many coaches. The best coach just works within my limitations. The worst coaches go, well, he does it like this. Oh, you're this far off that person. But they have different biomechanics. They have different lever lengths. They have different flexibility genetically. So it's always working within what you've got. Yeah, that's the most important thing. So there it is, guys. That's everything you need about exercise technique to get right so that you stay injury-free and obviously keep progressing and growing those muscles nice and strong. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you want to get the information in this episode and more, you can download the 30-day health optimization blueprint, which is all the tools and tactics that we use with our clients every day for 30 days. We'll deliver you an email in your inbox. Just head to lockerroomgym.com/blueprint to get the emails. That's lockerroomgym.com/blueprint.